Now, I told you that one of the most common ways of speaking, God speaking to you, it is by what he allows you to see. Okay? And that's what I told you last week. That everything, when he tells Joshua, every place your feet shall step, I have given it to you. Please understand one critical thing. Okay? That your blessing is always occupied by someone else. Hello? Are we together? Every promise he gives Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David. You imagine, you're David. You're 17 years old. A prophet comes and tells you, God has anointed you king. Question. Was there another king? So how does God anoint you king when there's another king? You see, you need to understand the kingdom of God suffers violence, and violent men lay hold of it by force. It must be within your understanding that every promise God has given you is attended upon by a giant stronger than you. Are we together? So these people who sit at home praying that, oh God, I receive, then you go at home. Wrong approach. If God gives you a promise, the first person you need to find is a giant. Guys, are you together? Am I making sense? You see, the problem with most people is you keep looking for the blessing. It's a waste of time. Because the blessing is already. You must find the strong man. He says, how can you have the good in a house unless you first bind the strong? Please notice, he is a strong man. He is not weak. So you must understand that every promise God has ever given you is attended upon by a giant. A giant being a metaphor for a myriad of things. If God promises you a child, sometimes there's a giant called fibroids. Okay? Sometimes when God promises you a husband, sometimes there's a giant called you've been dumped since you were 16. That is the nature of how God promises things. Because in his expectation of you as a son, he expects you to be equally a warrior. Are we together? And any warrior must have the capacity to spy the size of his enemy. So Jesus put it like this: which of you, when you build a house, does not consider the cost of building it? Are we together? You cannot be a general in an army if you do not have the capacity to spy the enemy. Okay? Now, here's where the problem comes. A lot of Christians, when they go to spy, they come back with fear. Now, let me explain to you how that fear is. Sometimes, God will send you to spy out a new house. This is how he sends you. You are called. You are a doctor, an engineer, a plumber, whatever. Then you enter into this house, okay? And your entire house, living room, sitting room, bedroom, and excuse can fit in his veranda. Okay? And you walk in, the chairs are the ones you saw at Palasina. They are 5 years salary of yours, okay? How many have ever been in that situation? Anyone? Okay? Now, how you leave that place determines what kind of spy you are. If you leave that place as a typical Kenyan, kuna watu wengine wanakula vizuri. Sisi tunasuffer for njaa yani. But kuna watu, okay? Wanaishi? That's the most common story. The second most common story is selfies. All you do is take pictures so you can tell people and fake us that you have made it. This is why I have problems with people who take pictures in hotels. You're just passing by. That's not making it. That's passing by. You understand? Now, let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 1. I want you to notice something. I want to show you the right way to spy. Are we together? Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? Okay, let me ask you a question. If I take this juice, okay, and I ask you, what do you see? Is that a necessary question? See, I'm your maker. I gave you eyes. So why would God ask Jeremiah, what are you seeing? What do you see? And I say, I see a branch or shoot of an almond tree, the emblem of alertness and activity, blossoming in late winter. Now, just pause. What does Jeremiah see? God has given him a vision. Okay? Then God asks him, what do you see? Then he says something interesting. He says, I see a branch of an almond tree, the emblem of alertness and activity, blossoming in late winter. Okay. Do things blossom in winter? So please notice what he is seeing. He's seeing a sign, he's seeing the thing, and he's seeing a time. So he's seeing the thing, a sign, and a time. Okay? Then said the Lord to me, you have seen well. You have to stop. You have seen well. It automatically means that you can see badly. Now, you have to think very carefully. The visions that God has given you, did you see well? You may not have the answer now, but by the end of this class you must. The visions, the plans that God has given you, have you seen well? For I am alert and active, watching over my word to perform it. And the word of the Lord came to me a second time, saying, what do you see? And I see a boiling pot, and the face of it is tipped away from the north, its mouth about to pour forth on the south, on Judea. Pause. He sees a pot, but he figures out the thing, the image, and the sign. He figures it out. Then God said, the Lord said to me, out of the north, the evil which the prophets had foretold as a result of national sin shall disclose itself and break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. But you, Jeremiah, gird up your loins, arise, and tell them that I command you, do not be dismayed and break down at the sight of their faces, lest I confound you before them and permit you to be overcome. Just pause. Pause. Just ask yourself a question. What did Jeremiah see? Jeremiah sees destruction coming from the north. Okay? He's seen destruction. He's not seen salvation. Okay? But based on what he has seen, God tells him, but for you, Jeremiah, gird up your loins, arise and tell them all that I command you. Do not be dismayed and break down at the sight of their faces, lest I confound you before them and permit you to be overcome. Meaning, how you see determines whether you will overcome. Am I making sense? Am I preaching? How you see? Okay, let me go. Let me show you another one. Jeremiah 18-19. Based on what he has seen. For behold, I have made you this day a fortified city and an iron pillar and bronze walls against the whole land, against the successive kings of Judah, against its princes, against your priests, and against the people of the land, giving you divine strength which no hostile power can overcome. And they shall fight against you, but they shall not finally prevail against you. For I am with you, says the Lord, to deliver you. Again, all based on Jeremiah's ability to see. Go to Genesis. The Lord says to Abraham, after Lot had left him, lift up now your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you do what? I'll give to you and to your posterity. What was the boundary of Israel? What Abraham could see. What Abraham could? Now Jesus comes and says, let he who has eyes see, who has ears hear. So the question is this: what is this seeing? Now I want to show you another story. I hope you read it. The children of Israel, okay, I'm combining many stories of this. The spies come back, are angry. And it's an interesting progression. First, because of the negative report they received, God says, how long will these people provoke me? And how long will it be before they believe me, trusting and relying on me for all the signs which I have performed among them? So God is angry at them for what? The fact that he has done many miracles in the past and they don't believe him now. Sounds familiar? How many times has God been there for you? Many, right? But how often do you panic when things go wrong? You're the kind of people God destroys. Because, and I will smite them with pestilence and disinherit them. Now, I want you, it's very easy to look at this story as the Israelites. Now put yourself there. God will smite me, say this with me, God will smite me with pestilence and disinherit me. Why? If I refuse to believe him, yet he has done miracles in my life in the past. God will disinherit me. He will strike me with pestilence based on the fact that he has done miracles for me in the past and I'm doubting him now. Do you understand? So this is not a trivial matter. Every promise of God in your life can become null and void for the very simple reason that you have chosen not to believe him, yet he's been there for you in the past. Okay? And I will make of you, Moses, a nation greater and mightier than they. So what is God always looking for? He has a plan B. When you refuse to believe him, there is a Moses. Guys, are we together? But Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear of it. You brought up these people in your might from among them, and they will tell to the inhabitants of this land, they heard that you, Lord, in the midst of the people of Israel, that you, Lord, are seen face to face, that your cloud starts over them, and that you go before them in a pillar by cloud and a pillar of fire by night. And now if you kill all these people as one man, then the nations that have heard your fame will say, because the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land which he swore to give them, therefore he has slain them in the wilderness. Okay? Now I pray you, let the power of my Lord be great, as you have promised, saying, the Lord is long-suffering, slow to anger, abundant in mercy, loving kindness, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the third and fourth generation. Pardon, I pray you, the iniquity of these people, according to the greatness of your mercy and loving kindness. You have forgiven them from Egypt until now. And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word. But truly, as I live, and as the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, because all those men who have seen my glory and my miraculous signs, please note, all those men who've seen my glory and my miraculous signs, which I performed in Egypt in the wilderness, yet have tested and proved me these 10 times, and have not heeded my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swore to give to their fathers, nor shall any who provoked me, meaning they spurned and despised me, see it. But my servant Caleb has a different spirit and has followed me fully. I will bring him to the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now because of the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valley, tomorrow turn and go into the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. I want to ask you a question. What has just happened? Yesterday, God was ready to give them the promised land. They came back, they had grasshopper mentality. We talked about it last week. God has called it evil in his sight. Now my fear is, how many times in my life am I that person? How many times am I that person who God has saved me so many times, and I'm now scared because of a client deadline? I am now scared because of a landlord. I'm now scared because I've lost my job. I'm now scared because my company is downsizing. I'm now scared because my biological clock is ticking. I'm now scared because of what the doctor said. Where do I qualify? Every time I worry, I disinherit myself. Every time I panic, I disinherit myself. Guys, it's not me, it's the scripture. Now I know you're wondering, this guy is insane. Every time I panic. Because you see, panic is predicated upon what is your safety. You see, if I panic when I don't have money, that tells me that my safety is money. So whenever I panic and God is there, I am despising God and praising money. Guys, are we together? That's what I'm doing. So if I am praising money in my life, every time it is insufficient, I will panic and I will tell God once again, you are not my God. Guys, are we together? Every time a year goes by and I panic that I am not married, I am doubting the God who gave me the promise. Guys, are we together? And every time you do that, you become one of the Israelites in the wilderness. Now, dangerous place. What does God say? Now turn back, go back into the wilderness. Question. When they were in the wilderness 40 years, did God do miracles?
Yes.
So first thing you need to be careful of, roundabout miracles. You're headed absolutely nowhere, but God is still providing for you. Can I explain to you a roundabout miracle? You've been eating, you've been sleeping. In other words, you've not hungered by day nor by night. He's given you shelter in a house, and your life has not changed. Roundabout. Now, let me tell you, roundabout people, this is their testimony. Say, nilikuwa nao, sikuwa na transport. Afrika cheki hivi, Heza katokezea mazee. Heza kaniambia mazee, mse, shika so mbili, nikajua basi God ame come through. Yeah, but you're not wrong. He's come through. But let me ask you a question. How many 200 bob miracles can you do? Where will 200 bob lead you? It leads you exactly home where you are. I call those roundabout miracles. So you can praise God. By the way, manna fell for 40 years. Where were they headed? Nowhere. So you need to understand that the presence of miracles in your life does not mean approval from God. Do you understand? Guys, am I making sense? So you must begin to move very quickly to understand that when God sends you to spy out a land, you must see correctly. Because, let me tell you something interesting. The Israelites did something interesting. For how long, and the Lord said to Moses, how long will this evil congregation murmur against me? Evil, what have they done? Killed anyone? Murdered, raped, pillaged? What is evil? Disbelief. Worry, fear, doubt is considered. I've heard the complaints of the Israelites murmuring against it. Tell them, as I live, says the Lord, you have said in my hearing, I will do it to you. Your bodies shall fall in the wilderness. Now, please pause. God had said it, forgiven them. This is forgiveness. Your bodies shall fall in the wilderness of all who murmured against you, numbered of you. From 20 years old and upward, you have murmured against me. Surely none shall come into the land in which I swore to make you dwell, except Jacob and Joshua, Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. Okay? But you, your little ones whom you said would be prayed, them I'll bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. And please notice, did they despise the land? I'll tell you what happens. Okay? So I shall skip this. I want to show you something. Now, very interesting. I want to go verse 36. And the man whom Moses had sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble and complain against him by bringing back a slanderous report of the land. Even those men who brought the evil report of the land died by a plague before the Lord. Okay? Died by a plague. Yeah. You might wonder, how do people die by a plague? You know those, I call them forwarders. Do you know those guys who forward for you? Warning. New crime in Nairobi City. And they always have all of them. Do not shake hands. This happened to a lady. True story, do not ignore. Okay? Then they tell you this horrific story. Okay? Have you ever noticed most of them have horrific things happen to them? Have you ever noticed that? I had an employee like that. I'm telling you, this one, she always had negative stories. And she was the one with the most sick-offs. The most relatives died. So I asked God, what's going on with this one? She told me this. When you are a negative spy, let me explain to you a negative spy. You go to them and you tell them, by the way, I am starting a business. I'm going to start selling guitars. Wait. Unajua kanisa? You know those people? You know those people? Question, which of them has a business? Do you know any of them with a business? Do you know what happens? The plague you predict kills you. Please understand what I'm saying. The plague you predict in your life kills you. So a lot of people have this spy thing where they always give you a negative report. You want to buy land. They tell you, hey, my friend, unanunua wapi? Emali. Beshi langu alikoniwa tuja? Do we understand? So the plague you predict. But Joshua son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who among the men who searched the land lived still. Moses told these words to all the Israelites, and they mourned greatly. Okay? So these guys who brought a report have been killed. Now let me tell you something interesting again. Have you ever noticed in your life that what you fear most tends to happen? Even when you're dating someone, you say, "Kitu na feel to break up." That is what is called spying. You see, spying is the ability to look into your future and make a conclusion. Meaning, you can see the same future, but make the wrong conclusion. You see, you can step into your future. It's very easy. Every human being does it. This is why everyone should have the gift of prophecy, but we all do it anyway. And I want you to imagine what you will have. Let's do the most basic, material things. I want you to imagine the car you'll be able to afford. Okay? I want you to imagine the house you can live in. Okay? Now, and if you have a pen and paper, and even if you don't borrow from your friend, write it down. Don't worry, I will not ask you for it. So you can be honest. 3 years from now, just write it down. I want to teach you how to spy. And it's very basic. The guy you'll be able to afford what kind of house you live in. 3 years. Okay? While you do that, I'll continue. So the people of Israel, they mourned greatly. And they rose early in the morning and went to the top of the mountain, saying, Behold, we are here. We intend to go up at once to the land which the Lord has promised. For we have sinned. Okay? So, this seems like repentance, right? Yes. What have they done? They've changed their mind. They've seen they were wrong. And now they're ready to go. This is one of the saddest places. But Moses said, Why now do you transgress the command of the Lord? Turn back by the way of the Red Sea, since it will not succeed. You guys understand, this is a story of 3 days. On a Friday, the spies come back. It's not literally a Friday. On a Friday they come back, you believe a bad report. On Saturday you change your mind. You tell God, now I'm ready to go. On Sunday God tells you too late. Three-day window. God gives you a promise on Friday. You doubt Him on Friday. You don't take action on Friday. You change your mind on Saturday. You wake up on Sunday to do it, and God tells you, too late. Too late. Now I want you to consider how many times you've been told, hey, by the way, you can sing, you have talent. That's a spy God sent to you. Then what do you say? Miss you easy. Because you're being humble. Miss you, eh? Then you change your mind on her. It's been 2 years, you still ain't singing. You see, you need to understand that sometimes the window of opportunity in the spirit is short. Sometimes you need to understand that now is all you have. And a lot of Christians are stuck in the wildernesses of their life because when the window opened, you made up your mind too late. You are too late. So look at your piece of paper. You've just spied out the land. What you've written there is the summation of the hopes and dreams that God is birthing in your heart. And there are probably two things happening in your heart right now. The first one, which is always from the devil, is how. So you wrote there, Range Rover 2017. And then the immediate reaction you had is how. Welcome to the 10 spies. Because the first thing they tell you is, yes, the Range Rover is a good car. It has leather seats, the AC works, it is fitting, your legs will stretch. They tell you, indeed, it is a good car. But it is a car that swallows those who occupy it first. 16 million kuinunua utatoa wapi? Second, ni kitu inaitwa Gazla. Third, unajua shock moja ni how much? Alafu ukinunua gari 16 million, comprehensive insurance ya 10% ni 1.6 million. Those are the 10 spies. And we all have them. We all, remember the Bible was written for your example. So what we constantly do is God gives you a dream and He gives you every day. Then you 10 spy it. You make it such a big problem you can't deal with it. That's what you do. And how do you get there? You look at yourself like a grasshopper. How does a grasshopper look and think? You open your wallet and dust falls out. And you count, I have 300. So, you think 16 million is unapproachable. Let me tell you what the 11 spies think. Open the same wallet, there's 300 shillings. They say now, I have only 15,999,700 to go. It's the same pass. Guys, am I making sense? If you do not have the ability to spy correctly, it's called a different spirit. Now let me explain to you what a different spirit is. When you look at those lists of things to do, you look at your list. So who's willing to give me the list? I need an example. Okay, Nixon, good. Okay? Hey, niliandika vitu mbili bana, huyu umeandika. Okay? Ameandika, hey, my friend. Yeah, this is specific. Read the first two. Toyota Hilux double cabin, white. Toyota Prado, black. 4-bedroom house in Green Park. Okay. Let's do the math. Toyota Hilux double cabin, how much? 3.5. Toyota Prado black, how much? 4.5. So 3.5 plus 4.5 is 9 million. Senior? 8 million. Okay. So 8 million. My math is not that quick. So 8 million. Okay. 3 years. How many years?
3.
Okay. And you're asking how? Because maybe your salary right now is 30,000. Correct? Fanya 30,000 divided by 8 million, I think it's enough. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Is it possible for God to give His business one client who can pay that amount?
Yes.
Is it possible? Is it possible for Him to get a consultancy in this country where He gets that amount? Is it possible, okay, for Him to meet someone who's so generous to Him, He gives him this amount? It's possible, right? So have you ever wondered why you doubt? You see, this 8 million we are all shocked about. There's someone who makes 8 million a day. Na ni binadamu kaya, true or false? I want you to think about it. You see, the second thing you must learn about being a spy, instead of asking why, ask why not. It's a better question. You know my question is, a house in Green Park, 4 bedrooms, why not? Why would God not give it to him? Tell me. Why not? Hakuna floods. Let me explain something to you. It's very critical. And this God told me in a vision. Was it Monday night, Monday morning? I talked to Huti about it. And I was over the weekend, it was so heavy in my heart. I was wondering, how come the people I know in Masterclass, they tell me there's breakthrough in their relationships, there's breakthrough in the way they relate. There's breakthrough in depression. Serious, we have had all those testimonies, right? Then I kept wondering, why isn't there breakthrough financially? And he told me something very interesting. He told me it is how they see. I wondered, what do you mean? You see, what God will give you has a boundary called your sight. You understand? What God will give you, if you're writing notes, write this down. What God will give you has a boundary called your sight. Okay? So what most of you have done is you have seen 30,000. That's what you've seen. That's what you believe God for, fast for, trust for, kila kitu. 30K. Sindio? Yo 30K ikikuja, umepanga rent ni 10K, food ni 10K, transport ni 10K. Okay? Then you can buy chips once, so it's 1K. Okay? Now, please notice. So you asked God for 30K. You know, He's always done it. Let me tell you how He's always done it. God will send someone to buy you lunch. Senor. So every day you've not gone hungry. Whether it was borrowed or given to you, you got food. Senor. Then He gave you grace with your landlord. Okay? So you lived in a house. Okay? Then He allowed you that you have two deals that give you money for transport and food every day. Senor. Please notice that He's just paid you your 30,000. God comes through whichever way He comes through. So a lot of Christians don't realize that the amount in your head you've set that you need, God has ways of meeting it. Are we together? But because that's the only thing you see and you demand of Him, it is the only thing you receive. Because what you have asked is so small. Are we together? So when it says you have not because you ask not, correctly understood is you have not because you have seen it not. What do I mean? You have not seen yourself earning 100K. You've not seen it. You can't imagine it. To that extent, God is limited to what you have seen. So what happens? Remember I told you every promise has a giant. So guess what happens when you're trusting God for 30,000? Getting 30,000 becomes hard. My goodness. Listen. If you trust God, and listen, have you ever noticed that if you trust God for 500, getting 500 becomes hard? You get 50 bobs. Getting 500 becomes. Because the principle of the promise is there must be. So my question to you is, which giant do you want to fight? Why are you wasting faith on 30,000? So just believing for 3 million. It's the same faith. Faith does not change color based on its bigness. Guys, are we together? So the problem that you have in your life is you've got something called small vision. First thing. So what you are trusting for, what you have seen, there is a giant equal to what you've seen. So you find that there's constantly, you feel like there's a glass ceiling. When you try to go above it, it hits you back. You know that feeling? You see, let me ask you a question. Ken, you've run a lot of businesses. How many businesses have gone above target? Like you set a target for it at the beginning of the year. How many times do they go above target? Never. Can I ask you why? Do you remember when you were in class 8, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4? Right? I don't know whether you used to write down a target. This term nitapata, B mathematics. How many of you ever exceeded your target? And you didn't notice there was something strange? No, asking question. You know, what I used to find interesting is that set a target, let's say, of 80%. I would get 79. And I used to wonder, what witchcraft is this? But it's not witchcraft. You see, God is limited in giving you his promise to the extent you could see. That's a boundary. My goodness. Are you guys understanding what I'm laboring this point so you understand? Listen, what you've set as a vision, God cannot exceed. So this month when you told God, I just need 100,000, 50,000, 5,000, guess what? He can't exceed it. Because the boundary of what God can do with you is bounded by what you can see. So my question is, do you see well? Do you know, when you're setting targets for yourself in high school, why wasn't it 100%? Do you notice to the extent it was below 100%, to that extent you considered yourself a grasshopper? The boundaries you set are more about how incapable you think you are, and by extension God, than they are about reality. For crying out loud, we live in Kenya. If Waititu can be governor, I am very sure you can have a better vision. No, genuinely think about it. Waititu is a substantive governor in this country. Sindio? Akona Cheska.
Yeah.
Wokonaya. Do you know why Waititu has a Cheska? Because his vision has exceeded his foolishness. The guy actually believes his vision is, listen, there's a saying, it is not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. So the question is this: when we finished campus, I was a preacher in campus, so we finished campus. Now we finished campus, we were living in Imaradaima, 3-bedroom house. I think rent was like 30K or something like that. So I'm invited to go preach in Mathare. Okay, this is like 2 months after campus. So I'm invited to go preach in Mathare. So we drive to Mathare, leave our cars, I don't know where. Then we've got to walk into Mathare, and I walk into this, it's a cell group meeting thing. And guess who walks in? My classmate. And I thought to myself, we were in the same class, we have the same education, I don't have a job, you don't have a job. How am I living in Imaradaima and you're living in Mathare? Now he concluded, he said, Mark, you're so lucky. Your dad has a job, me, my dad doesn't have a job. My friend, my dad was paying nothing. It is just because when I left campus, my vision determined which giants I fight. The problems you have in your life are evidence of the extent of your vision. You know, should I say this? Do you know if you change your vision today, your problems will change tomorrow? Yeah, I don't sound like a mad prophet. I'll tell you the truth. If you change your vision, your problems will change tomorrow. Now I know you guys think I'm insane. Can I tell you a secret? I had a glass ceiling in my life for a very long time. I remember me and my wife, we used to pray for many, many days for our business, and we were like, God, any targets to make turnover 1 million a month. Do you remember how long that was a target for? Okay? Now, something interesting always used to happen. We'd sign contracts and clients and stuff like that. We'd get to 800, 900K. We're about to get that next client to get to 1 million. One client drops out. We start again at 600,000. How many times did that happen? Because I had decided that my vision is a million. That's turnover, it's not profit. Eh? So what was I always fighting? I was always fighting the million shilling giants. Are we together? So, at the beginning of this year, God started telling me, you know, I can give you 1 million profit a month. Like Sarah, I laughed. Okay? Like Gideon, I doubted. Because surely, if 1 million turnover, not profit, I have never achieved it in my adult life, how surely are we going to do it profit per month? I fought with God from December to June towards the end. Okay? Then I asked myself a question. I trust God for 45K, 50K, 100K, 200K every month, right? We all do, correct? And He's come through every month, correct? Kwani nikiongeza 0 kwa hii number, will God die? Okay? So I started saying, pesa utas. That's what I started saying. Okay? So I started changing my mindset. Okay? I sang that Pesa Utas song till Akina Utia used to laugh at me. You remember Utia? I sang it. And Ken would call me and he'd say, hey, by the name, say, tunahitaji 15K. It's my last 15K. Pesa Utas, nigga, natuma. Kevo Daxkin would call me and say, then he called me back. I was so angry by then. Anyway. Calls me and he says, by then naitaji, Pesa Utas, nigga, natuma. What I was trying to do to myself is I was trying to change what my vision was. Okay? Now, the truth of the matter is, just 2 months later, it is now a reality. Okay? For the first time in my life, I saw a turnover of 1.7 M this month. Okay? Now pause. Turnover 1.7, right? Guess how many hours I worked? As usual. Now my question is, for how long will you play around with the low-ranking demons? For how long? For how long will you spend all your energy and faith believing God for 20,000? Ndio ukikuja kupeana class utupatie 2,000 itusaidie aje? We need to have big faith. Spying. You need to be able to look into your future and say, why not? Why not me? Are you together? Second thing. These guys wake up in the morning. Moses tells them, too late. It's too late. Then what do? Go not up, for the Lord is not among you, that you be not struck down before your enemies. For the Amalekites and Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword. Because you've turned away from following the Lord. Therefore the Lord will not be with you. but they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill country. However, neither the ark of the covenant nor the Lord nor Moses departed out of the camp. Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites who dwelt in the hill country, and smote the Israelites and beat them back even as far as Homer. Second thing about spying the land. You must learn to seize the opportunity. The biggest problem with Christianity today is we have a bunch of Christians who cannot see opportunity if it slapped them in the face and said, "Hi, my name is opportunity." Can't see it. Can't see it. And then when they finally wake up to do the opportunity, it's too late. It's too late. Now sometimes God is gracious. The 40 years is 4 days and you can do it again. But can you imagine 40 years your life didn't change? Can you imagine you 40 years from now facing the same problems? Can you imagine that? Do you know the only way you can change that is you must have the ability to see the opportunities you have now. Because I can tell you for free, there are things God is doing around you. And if you waste your time doubting your capacity to do it, it may be another 40 years. Did you hear what I just said? You see, when you call me and you ask me, should I do this? And I tell you, God says, yes. I don't mean next week. I mean now. The biggest problem we have is people who think they can obey God tomorrow. Listen, I have no problem with you delaying when you're confirming it's the word of God. That's fine. Confirm. But once you know it is the word of God, do not wait. What are you waiting for? You know, you tell a Christian, open a business. 6 months later, they've not opened it. And then they call you telling you, please need to me rent. From today, see to me. If you have a prophetic word, go do your prophetic word. Guys, are we together? You see, Linda stepped out. Where's Peculiar? So Peculiar posts in the group and she says, we're looking for a cleaning company. Okay? Interestingly, I think it was the morning of or the day before Linda had called me and she'd say that I'm thinking of starting a cleaning company and stuff like that. Okay? So you've agreed. So Peculiar posts. And then Linda is about to write and say, I know of a cleaning company, not hers, another one. Okay? So I called her. And I told Linda, watch her. Jinga. Because I'm that kind of preacher. Okay? So she said, okay, I can do it. Right? And she applied. Okay? Now when she applied, she was told, thanks, but no thanks. So she calls me and she says, okay, Mark, I applied, but they've rejected me. And I was like, that's strange. That's not what I saw. You remember? So Juicy, the guy they had selected, because they don't know where Grace dwells, let them down. So they came to the house of Grace. Okay? So they called the right person for the job. So the next time we recommend, you listen. So now, she has that cleaning job. Okay? From a prophetic word. Are you together? But now imagine, because you know what she was telling me? Oh, I'm not even registered. Oh, I don't have uniform. I'm like, wait, okay, where? Apply, right? She applied, and then they started registering in Samita, true? So, apply, okay, register. That's how opportunity comes your way. God's opportunities come in a way that you totally feel unqualified and disqualified for. That's how they come. Because if you are qualified for it, you would be the one who's doing it. But the reason he brings something that you feel like you're not capable to do is so that it can be true. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. Are we together? So the opportunities in your life will always come in a manner that is so inconvenient. It comes at a time, let me tell you something interesting. Sometimes when I'm about to have a serious breakthrough, how I know I'm about to have a serious breakthrough is I fall sick, money dries up. When weird things like that happen, I get excited, Martins. Because like I told you, if you want to know the quality of person you are, you must check your opponent in the ring. What is trying to stop you? There's a way to get. See, there's a song. It should be a gospel song, but it's not. It's called Something Inside So Strong. You know that song? I know that I can make it, even though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. That's who you need to be. That's a proper spy. Guys, are we together? So a proper spy is able to take advantage of an inconvenient opportunity even when they feel disqualified. Understand? I told Derek, when did I tell you this? A month, 2 months ago, I told him, you need to open your own garage, and you'll open it in Canada. Okay? Sounds weird. Today we found the space. Okay? So we found the space. So he can have his garage in Canada. Okay? But the bagger had to obey. Because I told the guy a month before, a month later, he's not going to look. It's a problem with Christians. You see, me, what I find interesting. I advise very senior people in this country. But people who live in Korogosho don't listen to me. You know, they say a prophet is without honor in his own home. Eh? The most dishonor I get is from you folk. Let me tell you something. There's something called a window in a season. Sometimes when you miss that window, it comes back 2 years, 10 years, 15 years later. Can I tell you what happened in my life? You know, in 2010, my life was crisis. Okay? So I told God, I've lost everything. You've abandoned me. Right? So instead of consoling me, he shows up and he tells me, I want you to be on media. This was the year 2010. I told God, with what? Who knows me? My reputation is in tatters. Who will even listen to me? I said, okay, 7 years. I could have been on TV 7 years, 8 years now ago. You know what I was busy doing for 7 years? Creating Ishmaels, literally, and perambulating in the wilderness going nowhere. Okay, so we together. So you cannot miss an opportunity, because every opportunity God will give you, I guarantee you, it's always inconvenient. If God's gonna make you a king, he's gonna crucify you first. You see, the path to a throne does not look like a cross, does it? If I tell you you're going to be a king, here's a cross, you'll be like, cross crown. Correct? So my dears, let me explain to you. The opportunities that God will bring in your life will always be inconvenient. Always. It will always make you get out of your comfort zone. It will always push you to a point where you've got to do something different, something more than what you've always done. That's how it always comes. But the problem with you is you want to be the same and get the God reward. Let me tell you something. God is so weird. So weird. I'll give you an example. God can spend 1 year telling you, wake up at 6 in the morning, read your Bible, go to work at 8, come back at 6, spend time with your family, chat on masterclass group. Bwana asifiwe sana. Amen. Then he can wake up in January and tell you today it stops, you're waking up at 5. He can do that. The problem with your stubbornness is you think you know. God is always disturbing you to prepare you for tomorrow. Are we together? Let me give you an example. In January of last year, God tells us to move out of our house to go pay rent, which is the antithesis of how we move. Correct? So He tells us, move out of your house, go pay rent. First thing that happens when He tells me that instruction is all the money disappears. I had a standing contract with the Ghanaians. I was going there every 2 months, okay, and every day is 60,000 shillings a day. The day God told me to move, they cancelled my contract. Okay? God has told me to move. I moved on debt. Guys, are we together? I obeyed God. And let me tell you, if I had not moved, I would not have done the TV shows I did. If I had not moved, I would have been frustrated by my neighbors because of the TV appearance. Are we together? If I had not moved, when people asked me, where do you stay? I would have said, Utawala. Which sounds like a good enough thing until you're being paid for a consultancy. You see, when someone is paying you for a consultancy and you say, Karen, Benu Badlika, how many do consultancies? No, anyone who's ever done a consultancy? Yes. You know they pay you based on what you drive and how you look like, right? Yes. Obeying God. Let me tell you something interesting. The other day God tells me, this family is going through a hard time. Just go be there with them. So I got out, went to do and hung out with them. My friend, they were so impressed with me. The opportunity they gave me, I cannot state it here because it's secret, was so huge. I was calling my wife, I'm like, I don't understand what is going on. They literally opened the doors of heaven, if you like, for me. Because I did not slumber on my opportunity. But many Christians, you tell them, apply for the job. Call them the day of the deadline. Umeapply. Apana, unajua nilikaa chini, nikaona walikuwa nataka 3 years experience, na mimi kuna 2.5. Met Christians like that? Where are they today? You are told there is an opportunity, there is a supermarket with a shelf. What do you make? You make jam. Can you supply? Me, I think that opportunity is too big for me. Now next time, don't say the opportunity is too big for me, just say I am stupid. Now I'm helping you, by the way. Are we having a sober conversation? Yes. You know, today I'm not shouting, I'm not doing anything. I want us to talk man to man, woman to man. I want us to have a serious conversation. Because until your faith begins to disturb you with the proper figures, you're wasting time. What is the point? Listen. Unajonga wale wase wanaishi na wewe Kibera ama unaitwa Oyole. Okay? Those guys who maze unajua tuunga shule na Sonko maze. Sonko alikuwa anakaa hapa mimi kwa hapa. Maze namjua Sonko tubishi. Then always all about. You know those guys? My question is, why do you behave the same way? God is my father. So that's what you say. Nimeokoka, si ndio? Sasa. Wewe na huyu Mungu wako. Wewe na Mungu wako. All you can plan for is 30K a month. Just think about it. God can set the stars right, calculate gravity, and how much radiation needs to reach the earth. And the only problem you want to disturb his head with is 30,000. Just think about it. You need to understand that you cannot, imagine, umeenda kwa President Uhuru Kenyatta, office yake, right? And you're sitting with him, he's given you a cup of tea, and he's telling you, what are the issues you think we need to solve? Then you start, Wajia Prezo, nafikiria ukiniandikia leta, nipewe job Kenya Railways, ya 30,000, utakuwa umenisaidia sana. You know how stupid you sound? Let me ask you, what does a president think about? You see, when you go to a president, the conversation you should have is you tell him, you want to build affordable housing. Can I help? And he tells you, tell me more. You say, I think I've found a way can build these houses cheaply, and it will cost people 500K a house. Give me the contract. So that's what presidents discuss. So now you sit with the president of the universe. You sit with him every day. So you're gonna go at time. So I'm a quitter into his chambers, because he takes the righteous into his council. Please understand, into his, do you know what a council is? It says the righteous are God's cabinet. The righteous are what? I prove it to you. He said, you are his ecclesia, correct? What did the ecclesia do? They set the agenda for the nation. So accurately, what are you supposed to be discussing with God?
The nation.
Do you know where Kenya is going? So, what are these prayers you make to God? So you need to go to God and tell him, by the way, God, I think what you and I need to do is we need to build a Christian community. We need to build a community where the poorest among us is the richest out there. Now, God, let's talk about this. Because then, God will have to bring you a giant the size of your dream. Now, the beauty about fighting a big giant is the small one stop disturbing you. You see, let me ask you a question. Utia, how many times do you trust God for airtime?
Never.
How many of you are called Jahazi? And by the way, guys, the reason I give Uti as an example, he grew up where? Jericho. Grew up in Jericho. Are there people, his friends still in school? You have friends still in Jericho, isn't it? Who you grew up with? Now let me explain to you why Uti is an example. Uti used to wake up and look at a white Mercedes his neighbor had and ask himself, why not me? Kweli Uti? My question to you is very simple. Why are you fighting small demons? Why? You see, the moment you start fighting big demons, the small ones stop disturbing you. Am I making sense? Because one of the things that happens in the spirit is there is a respect of a thing called rank. You understand? So when a demon comes, Ken Magani is a
For example, a demon for example, angel.
a demon comes. When a demon comes, okay, his first assessment is to see what your rank is. Okay? Can mimi ni demon wa 10K kwa sababu he doesn't want to be a demon. Kama ni demon wa 10K. Na naona ka faith kako unachezea? What happened? Body check. Right? Because mnatoshana? So the problems in your life and the demons that attack you are testimony to your faith. This, you can, you know, belabored this point like I have no other points. But please understand. So what happens is this, and you need to notice it in the Bible. I'll show you. Okay? When a demon comes and it has 10K problems, and it looks at you and your rank is 100K, you know what it does? It goes to look for like a 10K person, so inapata manka. Okay? So inaachana na huyu kwa sababu
Mzito.
so anakuja kupigana na. See, the devil goes around like a roaring lion. Why? See, you need to understand something. In the journey, thanks guys. If you look at the disciples, in their journey of faith, okay, they start out struggling with demons. Okay? You remember the child who used to fall in the fire? So they started, toka, sitoki, toka, sitoki. Okay? By the time it is the book of Acts, casting out of demons is such a passive activity, they do it with their shadows. Am I making sense? That is growth. Am I making sense? Now, the demon you struggle with is based on your vision. You see, the disciples were so busy doing God's work, not to be distracted by demons. They didn't have time. But the reason that demon is disturbing you is because you do not have a project big enough. Am I making sense? Yes. You see, the amount of head space you occupy worrying about rent is the same amount of head space you can use to worry about how you can make 100 million shillings and build an estate for believers. Same faith, same brain. True or false? If, let me make it even natural. If you train your brain and ask yourself, how can I make 1 million shillings? Making 10,000 will be easy. Guys, do you know that? I am repeating myself like a broken record. I hope you're getting someone. At least one of you needs to get this. So whatever it is you do, begin to ask yourself 100 times bigger, how do we do this? I want you to change how you think. I want you to be a proper spy. Step into your future and constantly think, about how big you can be. See, can that make sense? Stop thinking small. See, the biggest issue is poverty can occupy your brain for so long. You can panic about 10,000 shillings, you know. Si madharau. But when I kupigia simu, I'm panic about an amount of money and you think, what is wrong with you? Now, it happens to all of us because kuna mtu ocha anakupigia akimtumie so. See, it's true. Sasa, please, do not be that person. Please use your brain for things that are worth your time. Cabinet level things. You're God's cabinet. You are God's cabinet. What problems are you solving in your head? How is rent for 20,000 a problem you spend a month solving? Think about it. 1 month umetumia IQ yako, nguvu yako kusolve 20,000. Of what use are you to the kingdom? Yeah, Najua, it sounds like I'm insulting you, and I actually am because I want you to be offended. No, think about it. Womeka, how many have a brain?
Yet to confirm.
So,
Yet to confirm.
you have a brain, okay? You have a brain, and then you've taken it to apply all your energies to produce 20,000. It is an abuse to yourself. You see, the whole idea of spying is this and becoming alive. You must begin to figure out that I am going to hunt an elephant. Have you ever seen lions hunt an elephant? They know one is under the belly, one has gone on the back, the other one is biting a tendon at the heel. Those are the kind of problems you need to solve. Of what point is you being a lion and you spend the night wondering how you'll hunt a rabbit? That's a waste of a lion, isn't it? So from today, now we go back to your piece of paper. Go back to your piece of paper. Okay? And I want you to write by January 31st, 2019. By January 31st, 2019, feel the amount of money you're going to make a month. Now, you see how hard it is to wish yourself well. Write it down. And you see how the 10 spies are speaking in your head. 10 spies are speaking. But I want you to write it down. Per month, deadline January 31st. You've written it down. Second thing I want you to write down. I want you to list the opportunities you have right now. The opportunities you have right now. Those opportunities include business ideas you've never pursued, talents you don't use. You can act, you can sing, you can dance, alafu natukuja tu hapo kutubo. Okay? Businesses you've not taken seriously. Scholarships you've wasted time applying for. Business premises you've not gone looking for. You thought God won't catch you today. Each of us has things we've not done, Sir Christine. Things God told you to do in January, imefika August, kwa tu hapo, kijicongratulate umefanya 20%. Eh? Write down the opportunities. Those opportunities include, you know, the day you were in a matatu, you passed something and you said, by the way, I can do something with that, and you did not do it. Yeah. Evil children. Write them down. Now, I've just solved your problem. See, I've just asked you, what do you see? Okay? And then I've just shown you all the things, all the giants you need to conquer for that to be true. Right together. Every opportunity there had a giant. Sometimes the giant is just your fear. You doubt yourself. You doubt yourself. Okay? Oh, if I start a tours company, now it's hard. Or will we get a car? Gekeno is young. You know, from it. I can do that to Christine, she's my friend. The rest of you are safe. Okay? Do you understand? Guys, I want you to have, you see me, I'm not preaching today. Me, I came to bring a mirror. And ask yourself, can bake cakes? Don't sell. Don't sell. If you are asking God, oh God, please, a miracle. It's not coming. Did you hear what I just said? It is not. Let me tell you something. Can I introduce a new rule? In class, no asking for money unless you've done your own miracle. Do you know what I'm saying? Simply say, don't ask for money unless you fished. What am I saying? You must start developing the capacity to know that everything you need is enclosed in an opportunity you ignored. Did you just hear what I just said? Everything you need is enclosed in an opportunity you ignored. So every time you are in lack, go and check the list you've just made. Okay. Okay, well then. We together, sir. That makes sense. So vitu unakosa sahi, you see, right now, what you're struggling with, it is because of that to-do list you've not done. Sijika tuko pamoja? So check your to-do list. January 31st. Now, I know, yes, excellent, coming to you. I know you guys are wondering, what is Mark doing? Number one, I'm prophesying. Okay? When I prophesy, I don't give you hype. Because sometimes the excitement of a song, you know, you feel BV. No. I am telling you, this is what I'm saying, so I'm very clear in your ear. I'm saying that in the spirit, God has opened a window for you to enter into your promised land. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And I'm telling you, you will enter your promised land based on your ability to pursue the opportunities you've ignored hitherto. Are we together? So in return, in case you are asking, the favor you are asking for is the things God has asked you to do, you have not done.